Very much. Over to Brother Khalid.
Thank you. I would like to invite Mr. Dawood Vikari to distribute some gifts to the speakers, thanking him and thanking them as well. Thank you once again. Thank you. Thank you really for coming.
I will give you, inshallah, publication.
Inshallah. Thank you really for coming. Thank you. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. It's our first time, and even next second day, we did not expect it that much. It is. There are many still outside.
So the people have started coming in, which is on OIEF certified technologies for Islamic finance, and this is going to be delivered by Stanley Young, who is a senior vice president with Path Solutions. You know, last night in the GIFA, Global Islamic Finance Award ceremony, Path Solutions won an award in the category of the best Islamic technology provider for 2011. So I congratulate Stanley, and if you could kindly come over and share your views on OIEF certified technologies for Islamic finance.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm actually pleased to see the number of people here at the event right now. You know, I've been to a number of these. I've been on the receiving end and the giving end, and I know that after lunch it can be quite difficult. So I'm going to try to make this a little bit lively. I'm not going to bore you with the technology. Over the past day and a half, you've certainly heard a lot of different topics. Earlier this morning, I'm sure you listened to the discussion on OIEF itself from the OIEF practitioners. So what I'll try to do in my presentation is put the technology in the context of the C-level executives in an organization and what some of the challenges are. So again, but before I do that, just I want to kind of relate a story to you that happened to me maybe a couple of days back. One of my friends, he's an avid reader. I think he reads a book a day. And I happened to notice that he had a book that was titled How to Become a Millionaire. And I thought that was intriguing. I've been struggling with that paradigm all my life and haven't achieved that level yet. When he gave me the book, half of the pages were missing. So I looked at him and I said, well, what's going on here? And he said, well, isn't $500,000 good enough? So my point being is that I think here in Oman, we're halfway there in terms of the Islamic banking and where businesses will ultimately go. His Excellency, the Sultan, has given the permission and the legal framework to move forward. So now it's really all about execution, picking the right systems, picking the right markets, picking the right products and services. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time here, and I will make up the lost time and stick to the agenda as tightly as possible. I wanted to show you this because I think this is extremely interesting. The ecosystem that we live in today has evolved and extended dramatically. I can recall as a young man, going back a number of years, I won't be too more specific than that, where you would go to a bank, get in a queue, get your money, and leave the bank, or you would talk to a relationship manager. Those days still exist. However, the ecosystem is quite bigger and broader than that. For example, if you take a look at this.
No, you don't have to.
Okay. Well, anyway, if you take a look at this, you'll see that at the very central part or center of this diagram is the enterprise core. So the notion there is that back at the headquarters, the back office, that's the engine room. That's where the executives exist. That's where the product strategists exist. That's where your business development people exist. And clearly what they have to do is interface with a lot of different constellations in that ecosystem. The institutional clients in the ecosystem, the customers in the ecosystem. They also must interface with the technology that's out there in terms of mobility, obviously security, cloud enablement, a topic that I didn't hear too much about over the past day and a half, but it's real, it's there. It's something that some companies are looking at, as well as the governance and business intelligence. So this is a very complex and significant ecosystem that is tied together by services, business processes, and standards. The standards is the glue that allow the enterprise to be able to ensure that their strategy is being executed throughout the ecosystem. Not speaking Greek and Chinese, but Greek to Greek, Arabic to Arabic, if you get my point. That's what brings it together. Now, obviously here in Oman, as we start this journey, and it is a historical journey, the wheel does not have to be reinvented. But if you look at the climate that we're dealing in here in Oman, there is the conventional banks that have an Islamic window. I think we've heard quite a bit about that today and yesterday. There's the Islamic banks, the full Islamic banks, and to my knowledge, there's only 2 that have been licensed to become so. In addition, you have Islamic mortgage companies. You have takaful companies. You have international Islamic financial markets. So all of these constellations somehow, from an enterprise perspective, must be managed efficiently, effectively, and deliver profitable growth. And the job of delivering on profitable growth squarely resides on the people in the bank and the C-level management. So there is an agenda that the C-level management in these banks are concerned about these days. And, you know, I've been at a number of these conferences, most recently one in Bahrain, the World Islamic Banking Conference. I've talked to a number of our customers. I've had discussions with companies like Ernst & Young and Deloitte, and they pretty much validated an agenda that is pretty much consistent and in line with what my customers are telling me. And I'd like to share that agenda with you. So the C-level agenda, obviously concerned about operational efficiency. This is where your margins get squeezed at the back office. So you must be concerned about making the operation efficient. And when we talk about efficiency, we're talking about the infrastructure. This is where the notion of cloud comes into play, virtualization, these sorts of topics. We're talking about your e-business infrastructure. Extremely important in what some has called the banking 2.0 era. And that's reflected by being able to access my products and services at the bank anytime, anywhere, on any device. In addition, the internal and customer-facing processes are very, very key. So I'm not going to read all of these, but I think you get my drift that from an operational perspective, these are key considerations that the C-level has today in running their business. Then there's the risk and compliance. This is a major, major area of concern, right? To ensure that my business complies with government standards, complies with international standards, that has a degree of certification, that protects my customers' privacy, and is concerned about data security And one of the big ones, and I'm sure you all know this, you know, I live in the region as well as you're living in the region, and we know that the geopolitical risks that are out there, you have to be concerned. You have to be concerned about that. Another major topic on the C-level agenda is innovation. I can't stress this one enough. This is what keeps you in the game, innovation. When you get stale, chances are you're going to get your lunch eaten by your competition. So innovation is key. And if you look at innovation in our speak, you're talking about mobile payments. You're talking about mobile text banking, being able to find information about your account through SMS messages and those sorts of things. We're talking about iPhone, iPad, and Android applications. Let me give you a couple of data points here. I've taken some notes here, specifically focused on Oman. From my research, the numbers that I've gotten in terms of this innovation area and how it's relevant, there's 1.2 million internet users in Oman. I think there's a population of 2.9 million, there or thereabouts. So that represents 41% of the population are internet savvy. So you can't avoid that as a bank. That's a channel that you have to consider. In addition, and this number was astounding, and by the way, the last number I gave you came from ITU, which is an international telecommunications union that does these statistical kind of things. There's 2.3 million mobile users in Oman. Given 2.9 million people, there or thereabouts, so it's a totally mobile-enabled society in Oman. You cannot escape that as a banker, as an executive. The point on iPhone, iPad, Android applications, it's being used. Now, this is not to say that the old relationship model you throw out. You don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, but clearly you have to open up a channel, new channels, to educate and to provide services. Another comment or point I'd like to bring here, and I'm going to turn this around to a question to the audience. How many downloads from the App Store, and you can take a shot at this, do you believe that Apple has reached as of July this year? You know the Apple App Store. You know, I don't care whether you're Apple bigot or whatever the case might be, but how many downloads do you think that they have achieved since July of this year? Anybody want to take a crack at that? 1 billion. What did you say? You're getting close. Another shot? Okay. So since you give up so quickly, I'll give you the answer. Now, this is according to the statistics coming out of The Economist just recently. 15 billion. 15 billion as of July. And you can check this. The latest Economist magazine, right? There's a storyline in there. And I thought this was astounding. But don't forget the Android. The Android, and here we're talking about Google, they have reached 10 billion as of December. In November, they were sitting at 9 billion. So in 1 month, 1 billion more downloads. So what's the point here, right? The point is that given the median age here in Oman of 24-point-something years old, you have a young population that's very tied to technology, that's in the social tools. You have to reach them how you can, right? So that channel, I believe, is extremely important in this C-level agenda. But what is absolutely critical is that last point. If you cannot connect with improving the lives of your customer, they'll never use it because it's useless to them. It's useless to them. And finally, growth. I mean, you know, that's really the name of the game, ladies and gentlemen, is growth. I mean, we're not in this to look good, but we're in it to grow our business, to make a profit. And if you look at some of the points that the CEO is concerned about, and the CIO is concerned about, and the CFO is concerned about, new revenue streams. How do I generate more revenue out of my transactional fee-based income? Keeping in mind that in the upper left-hand corner, you have to be concerned about operational efficiency. So all of this ties together. In addition, the market segmentation. This plays into the social economical metrics that you must consider when you look at new products and new services. Very critical. And finally, and I can't stress this enough, and I'm sure you've probably heard this a dozen times, if not more, in this conference as well as others that you went to, human capital. Because it's not going to happen unless you have the people that are qualified to help you get there. The journey is very difficult if you don't have the skilled talent. And I'll suggest to you this, and I'm sure this is going to be debatable, but I'll suggest to you, based upon my experience in the region, that that is a challenge on the human capital side. That is a challenge. A challenge in the United Arab Emirates, a challenge in Africa, where I was recently based. Wherever there's Islamic financing and banks that are evolving, it's a big challenge. We have a customer out in Nigeria, the first Islamic bank in Abuja called Jazz International. And one of the big challenges that they had was the human capital, getting business people that understood the Islamic financing world. But technology can help you to some degree here. And I promise you this is not going to be a marketing pitch, but technology can help you. Because what technology can do is encapsulate the experiences of others in your industry and deliver it to you. But before we get to that, this is really the bottom line. Profitable growth. Not just growth, but profitable growth. That's really what we're trying to achieve from all of this. So the CEOs stay up at night, some of them, thinking about this. So I will say to you that all of this, since we're living in an Islamic world, requires an Islamic enterprise core. Now, my background is from the very large vendors like SAP and Oracle and IBM, and I won't bore you with that, right? But at the end of the day, if you consider that ecosystem again, remember this, that ecosystem, right? You need an Islamic enterprise core to ensure that the services and business processes required to integrate across this landscape exists. You want to be able to know what's going on in your ecosystem. You want to be able to deliver the products that people want across your ecosystem. So you need an Islamic core engine to do that. Now, from a technology perspective, here's one example of what that might look like. And I promise you, this is not a sales pitch. This just happens to be Path Solutions' version of what an Islamic engine looks like. Yesterday, we had ITS describe what their Islamic engine looks like. But from a path perspective, this is what we believe the platform for Islamic financing, financial institutions. These banks, takaful companies, whatever the case might be. So you have to be concerned about the delivery channels. We talked about that. Mobility. You have to be concerned about the corporate and regulatory reporting. You have to be concerned about the interfaces to the outside world, right, where we're talking SWIFT. And all of this stuff, by the way, should offer you some embedded certification, because that's what's going to help you get to the market quicker. It should leverage best practices. Where do we get these best practices from? Well, in Path Solutions' case, we get them from our customer installed base, as you can see displayed up here geographically across the world. So we leverage the experiences of our customers, and we embed that into the iMall product. What will that give you? That will give you speed and agility as a business. Speed to the market, agility in adapting and adjusting to change. It will also give you AOFI certified business processes. Now, I'm not saying that AOFI certified business processes is the be-all, end-all, but it certainly is a platform for you here in Oman to grow your business from, to enhance it based on the unique legal requirements here in the country. But you have it embedded, so you don't have to reinvent that part of it. In addition, you want to have a trusted partner going forward into this brave new world. Someone that is a leading Islamic technology provider, which Path Solution clearly is. And I have one more slide, and I'll wrap it up. And what is also key is the delivery models. How you deliver the solution. As a conventional bank, you might want to consider an Islamic window. So from a Path Solutions perspective, we have a prepackaged Islamic window embedded with those AOFI certified business processes, embedded with the best practices that's been gained from the customers we have globally, that will help you get to the market quicker and be more agile. Or a full Islamic bank, and our flagship iMall 12. So basically what I tried to share with you today, and I know after lunch, we don't want any heavy stuff, and so I'm going to back off a little bit here. The bottom line is that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You're in a very advantageous position because a lot of others have went before you. You have models from Malaysia that you can apply. You have vendors like Path Solutions, who has been there, done that since 1992. And we've embedded all of this in our technology. And we have a C-level agenda that has to be achieved if you're going to get profitable growth. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you and wish you the rest of the conference a success. Thank you very much.
I think we need to give you a gift.